Hello and welcome to the Western Wisconsin Journal. My name is Mary Claire Potter, and it's my pleasure today to interview the Hudson City Council candidates running in District 6. Joining me today is Joyce Hall and Rich Vanslow. Joyce and Rich, thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate your time in preparing for these interviews.
Thanks for having us.
You bet, you bet. So I have a series of questions that will alternate going between the two of you. So we'll go through those questions. And first of all, I'd like you just to talk a little bit about yourself, your background and your qualifications, and why you're interested in representing District 6. And Joyce, I'm going to ask you to start, please. Thank you.
Okay. I moved to Hudson in 2008. My husband and I chose to live here because of the strong community and the beauty of the area. We've been married 31 years and we've raised 2 adopted daughters. My educational background is science and math, and I solved challenging problems in the microelectronics industry when I worked for 3M. In addition, for the past 19 years, I've been a small business owner. Wherever I've lived, I have gotten involved in the community through public service and volunteer work. For example, in North St. Paul, I served on the Solid Waste Commission. In Williams Bay, I was a Girl Scout leader and Sunday school teacher. Since I moved to Hudson, I've worked as a technical college instructor and volunteered as a literacy tutor to adults. I've served on teams that have been required to build consensus. At the 3M, the product development teams had to agree on mission statements, plans, and schedules, and then work together to meet those goals. At the technical college, search and screening committees had to agree on the best candidate for each job. As an alderperson, I will work to build consensus.
Great. Thank you, Joyce. Rich, can you share with us a little bit about your background, qualifications?
Sure. Born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Was in the U.S. Army from 1966 to 1968. Graduated from the University of Illinois Chicago Circle with a Bachelor of Science in Business Management. Moved to Hudson in 1986. Down in Illinois, I spent 17 years in manufacturing management with 3M Company. Moved up to St. Paul area and spent 17 years in sales and marketing. So it's kind of a wide range of experience from manufacturing to sales and marketing. Actually lived in Dusseldorf for 2 years and was a sales and marketing manager for personal care in Europe. My wife and I have 4 children, 4 boys, spread out across the United States, 1 in Rhode Island, 1 in Arizona, 1 in Illinois, and we have 1 here in Hudson still. We also have 6 grandchildren, and all of our children went through the Hudson school system. Well, not all of our 2 of our children, the 2 that came here with us when we got here, 2 out of the 4 went through the Hudson school district system. I've been a city council member for the past 4.5 years. And I have to say I've enjoyed it. It's been more work than I anticipated, so it was a surprise, and I would have never been able to do it while I was working. But now that I'm retired, I have the time to do it, and I'm glad to do it.
Great. Well, thank you. And Rich, I'll start with you. So why do you want to continue to serve on the City Council representing District 6?
I want to continue to serve because I think at this point in time, there's a tremendous amount of momentum in the City Council for solving problems, addressing problems, tackling issues which are very difficult, and not leaving them unsolved, or not leaving them at least without some sort of decision. So they're not hanging out there. And the momentum is going through our capital funding that we've had a capital program in place where we're funding $4 million every 2 years to try to get all of our issues in place, like infrastructure and some of the other things. So there's a lot of momentum going, and I do believe the current City Council discusses issues very openly, very evenly, and without criticizing personally. And I think that's just really a great attribute for the council. And those are the things that attract me to continue to run. I just think we have a great group of people and a really good momentum going for the City of Hudson and going in the right direction, moving it forward.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rich. Joyce, why would you like to serve on the Hudson City Council representing District 6?
Well, I found much satisfaction in public service and volunteer work, and I'm embracing a new challenge to represent the people of District 6. I plan to serve by listening to people, finding out what's important to them, and building consensus with all of the competing interests. I believe my broad background has given me excellent problem-solving skills and experience that will help me to carefully analyze the issues to offer a fresh perspective and new solutions.
Great, thank you. So, Joyce, what do you think the most important issue is for the Hudson City Council to address in the next 12 months?
Hard to pick out one, one or
Right,
two
I know,
issues. But as always, there are many more worthy places to invest in our community than our limited tax dollars can cover. And foremost, it's important to continue to have careful stewardship of city funds using sound judgment and fiscal responsibility. But for the community, there are several high priority items. One is addressing the need for an appropriate public safety facility. The 2009 comprehensive plan established the need, but here we are 6 years later and no solution has been determined. The lack of space for the fire and EMS departments is a critical issue. There needs to be careful consideration of the locations to effectively service all the areas besides the city of Hudson. We have North Hudson, Hudson Township, and Troy Township. Another issue is the need for secondary space in the Hudson School District. I've been hearing about people considering moving out or considering not moving to Hudson because of that overcrowding in the middle school and the high school. I'd like to see more collaboration between the Common Council and the school district to find a solution. A third area that needs attention is our library. Since it's underfunded, our residents are forced to utilize other libraries in the area, putting a strain on their limited resources. So those are the things that I think are the top priorities.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Rich, what do you think are the most important issue, for the City Council to address in the next 12 months?
Yeah, in the next 12 months, I think it's critical that we find funding to reconstruct Vine Street from 9th to 1st Street. I guess if you've driven down it, you know that it's not in very good repair and it's deteriorating quickly. And although there was a proposal to try to put a Band-Aid on it before we reconstructed it, I don't support that approach. I think that we need to address that issue. We need to find the funding for it. It's a $4 million project, and we currently don't have the funding for it, but I think that's an issue the City Council has to address. We have to find the funding. It's one of our main thoroughfares for the City of Hudson, and we can't ignore it. I would agree with Joyce here that the public safety building is our second need in the next 12 months. We do need to find that. The overcrowding is an issue, and I agree with you on that. So those are the two issues that I think need to be addressed in the next 12 months.
Okay. And those are no small issues either,
They're not small issues
but
at
they are
all.
vital to the development and
They are.
growth of this community. Rich, do you see any areas where the city can reduce spending without reducing services?
I have to be very honest and say no. I
Okay.
think the City Council and through the budgetary process and with the department heads have been very frugal in putting out money. Every department in the city needs more money.
Right.
Every department in the city needs more money so that we can do a better job of everything. We have cut, in my mind, everything we can cut without affecting services. There's just nothing. And the library, maybe one of those areas that also suffers from that.
Right.
But our Public Works Department suffers from it. Our police departments. If you talk to the fire department,
Right.
they're not funded properly either, So there is no area that we can cut
Okay.
without affecting services.
Okay. Joyce, from your perspective, do you see any areas where the city can reduce spending without reducing services?
I agree with Rich that the city's budget is well managed and the employees are conscientious about utilizing resources efficiently. I've been hearing about one effort that's underway to replace the streetlights with LED lamps, and I think that's really a good idea, and I would support looking for other ways to save money through energy consumption reduction. But I think that overall it's a tough problem to reduce the spending without reducing the services.
Sounds like it's pretty lean and really can't be much
It
leaner.
really is, yeah.
Okay. Joyce, is the city's plan for maintaining or improving the city's infrastructure sufficient? Why or why not?
No, as I said before, the crowded conditions of our public safety building was well documented in the 2009 comprehensive plan. And 6 years later, the new facility is still in the planning stages. Overall, I feel that planning for maintaining and improving the infrastructure is reactive rather than proactive. For example, a proactive approach would mean planning ahead for the wastewater treatment plant reaching capacity and having a plan well in place well before that happens. I'd like to see the comprehensive plan revised to include these types of plans, as well as details of the schedules for maintenance and improvements of the infrastructure.
Okay, thank you. Rich, is the city's plan for maintaining or improving the city's infrastructure sufficient or not? Why or why
Well,
not?
if I had my wishes, I would increase the city budget from the $8.5 million we have right now to about $16 million. And then I would tell you we have sufficient
Then you have
funds
sufficient
to
funds.
do everything that we want to do.
And you'll get that extra
but,
$8
yeah,
million
yeah.
from,
From wherever, yeah. But since we don't have that
Right.
liberty or that, that option, I would say that the planning that has been done with the capital funding and the $4 million plan over each 2-year period of time is certainly a step in the right direction. I think our road maintenance and our road improvements have been significant over the past year or two. And so I think that's really been done well. And in regard to the wastewater management, I do believe we have $5 million fund that we have set aside to address wastewater capacity. So I don't think we have an issue there.
Okay.
I think we've planned for that. And I just want to, I philosophize a little bit, but the problem with raising funds and taxes, in my mind, is we have the local city government taxing, we have the school board taxing, we have the county taxing, we have the state taxing, we have the federal government taxing. None of those organizations talk to each other about what impact on the individual person their tax increases will have. And one of the problems that I see with that is that, yeah, as a city, sure, maybe we can raise taxes on people, okay? But if we do that, and somebody says, well, it's only $100 per $100,000 home, so it's a $200 effect. Well, you haven't considered what the county's going to do, what the board's going to do, what the federal government's going to do. And before you know it, an individual person could be facing $500 or $600 tax increases. And while a part of our population may be able to afford that, there is certainly another population, a segment of our population that really can't afford that. And as city government people, I think we have to be very concerned about that and about our residents facing those types of impacts. And that's one of the problems I think we face.
Okay, thank
I
you.
wish there was a way to have all of those organizations get together and say, look, we're not going to give you
Right.
more than $100 or $200 tax increase. We'll divide it up between all of our organizations, but it won't be more than this.
Right, and we'll figure it out.
And we'll
right.
figure it out, but it doesn't happen.
Right. So we've touched on the library a little bit, but Rich, what are your ideas on how to financially sustain the library moving forward? I mean, I know they've had last year was pretty good. They ended in the black, but moving forward, how will they be able to sustain themselves?
I really think individual funding and financing has to be found for the library. I think there are a lot of library organizations who have foundations and other organizations supporting them and giving them funding. And I think that source of funding certainly has not been totally available to the Hudson Public Library at this point in time. And I know there's been concern because of the stability of the library.
Yes.
Well, I think that this past year has shown some of the people interested in providing funding that the library is stabilized. And I know over the 4 or 5 previous years, the library was losing money, and that was scaring people away from providing financing for this library. So I think the library has taken a great step forward in assuring these people that they know how to manage the funds, they know how to run the organization in the library, and that we can expand services if we can get some funding here. And I think that's probably the best way to do it, because if it comes out of city budgets or out of the joint library or the joint townships budgets, I can tell you all these people are strapped for funds. And as you mentioned earlier, we need dollars in our infrastructure, we need dollars in public safety. And so it's a choice of where do you put your money.
Right.
But that's what I think has to be done.
Okay. Joyce, your thoughts on ideas on how to financially sustain the library?
I think Rich made a good point about having individuals make donations, and I think that is really an important source of funding because, yes, it is hard to find that the funding in the city budget.
Right.
However, if we want to attract families and businesses, a healthy and vibrant library should be a high priority to our city, and something more needs to be done to encourage people to donate. To me, a healthy and vibrant library has enough hours to serve the needs of the community and has a collection and other resources that keep up with those needs. When the library had Monday hours, Monday was the heaviest usage for the week. So that tells us that Mondays it would be really important to have the library open on Mondays. When our residents need services on Mondays, they end up utilizing libraries in the other libraries in the area, those libraries also have limited resources. We need to be a good neighbor and do our share to provide enough library services to our residents that we're not burdening other libraries.
Okay, thank you. Joyce, a new topic, but do you think the city of Hudson should continue to annex land?
Yes, the city can benefit from additional businesses as long as we can keep up with the infrastructure to support them. I favor annexation when it is in the best overall interest of the community and the property owners. We need businesses that will offer high-paying jobs in environmentally responsible ways. I would support annexation to bring those types of businesses into Hudson.
Okay, thank you. Rich, do you think the city of Hudson should continue to annex land?
I think the city should always be willing and ready to look at annexation of lands, whether it be residential or commercial.
Right.
I think the criteria, and Joyce alluded to this a little bit, is that anything that we annex into the city has to be able to have a tax structure which supports the services that are going to be needed for that annexation. And that is, the fire, the EMS, the infrastructure for sewers and roads, and the snow plowing. It has to be paid for, and we have to demonstrate that that annexation will pay for these services. I would not be in favor of annexing any parcel of land that we cannot see will pay for itself, or maybe even contribute more than what the services we need are.
Okay. So this question kind of follows in line of that. Rich, what is your position on allowing or limiting more residential and commercial development in Hudson?
I'm not in favor of setting any limit on
Okay.
commercial or residential at all. I am in favor of just looking at each individual annexation issue that comes up to us and seeing whether or not it fits with our plans for the city and whether or not it's consistent with what we want the city of Hudson to be as a community. Certainly, there may be things that come that are not consistent with the
Right.
lifestyles that we want for the city of Hudson. And of course, I'd be opposed to those types of things. So I think they have to be looked at individually.
Okay. So Joyce, what is your position on allowing or limiting more residential or commercial development in Hudson?
Sounds like I've got a similar point of view to Rich. I do favor allowing residential and commercial development as long as the growth is beneficial to the community. Broadening the tax base is important to bring more money for Hudson's needs. But before we allow much more development, I think we need to update the comprehensive plan so that we have a clearer vision of what will benefit the community and what infrastructure improvements are necessary to support the development.
Okay. Great, thank you. Joyce, what other issues do you feel the City Council of Hudson should address?
Well, the most effective organizations have mission statements and articulate the organization's values. These statements are used to guide the decision-making process. The 2009 Comprehensive Plan refers to the goals and the values of the city and recommends that changes to the plan remain consistent with them. However, I've not found the mission and value statement articulated. I believe that it is important to develop that statement as a community and post it to the homepage of the city's website. It's expected that Hudson will continue to grow in the coming years, and I would like to see the Common Council be more proactive in managing and directing that growth. The mission and values should guide the answers to the question, how do we make the city more attractive to families and businesses? The answer should include a vision for our schools, our library, recreation facilities, the downtown district, the industrial park, etc. This vision should guide the decision-making process.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Rich, what other issues do you feel the Hudson City Council should address?
I think there are two issues that we need to start thinking about and need to start addressing. One is a third overpass over 94. The congestion coming south to north, north to south over 94 is becoming apparent, and it's becoming an issue. And we need to look at, I believe the city of Hudson, because it's going to continue to grow, is going to need a third overpass. We need to work with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation on trying to find funding for that and allowing us to get this third overpass, because I think that is critical for the growth of the city of Hudson. So I think that's extremely important. The second issue, and again it's a traffic issue, is the Carmichael-Cooley interchange and what's going to happen there, and how will the Carmichael corridor develop, and as it develops, how do we manage the development of that corridor? I can see in the future that City of Hudson may be asked to annex more land on the east side of Carmichael. And of course, the Carmichael corridor, particularly for the District 6 people, becomes a real issue as far as moving north and south. And so we need to be very, very involved in that process and understand what the issues are and how can we manage that. So those are two real issues that I think we need to continue to address. They're out a little bit in the future, but we need to be starting to looking at them and working on them.
Well, and I think those type of projects are out in the future because they take so long to pull together, but I think we do need, as you both said, we need to be thinking about those things now. So, well, I certainly want to thank you, Joyce, and you, Rich, for being here today, and appreciate your willingness to run for office and to serve, because it's a huge time commitment. And so, and Hudson is very proud about the people that are willing to serve and volunteer, and it's really what makes our community so great. So thank you for your willingness to do that. Rich, any closing comments before we end today?
I guess the only closing comments I have would say that, again, I think the city is really got momentum. We're really moving in the right direction. I think the committees are doing an outstanding job of analyzing the issues and providing solutions. I think the Planning Commission does a great job. The Public Works Department does a great job. I think all of our committees are working very hard, and I like the process that this whole thing goes through. And so I'm very, very happy with the way this is going. And that's why I'm here.
Great, thank you, Rich. Joyce, any closing comments for tonight?
Well, I believe that government better responds to the needs of the community if all of the citizens are involved. I'd like to encourage more folks to get involved in our community and its government. I'd like to say to the people of District 6 that as your alderperson, my goal is to truly represent our district by listening to all of the points of view in our district and to vote accordingly. I ask for your support on April 7th. Let's keep Hudson a wonderful place where families and businesses can grow.
Great. Well, again, thank you, Joyce Hall, Rich Vanslow. Wish you both all the best as you are running to represent District 6, and want to remind our audience to get out and vote on April 7th. That's a very important day, so please get out to vote. And for the Western Wisconsin Journal, I'm Mary Claire Potter. Thank you.